Talk a little more about the cost of living. Income inequality and the loss of a lot of good middle-class jobs have become major issues in the race for the White House this year. And Democrats and Republicans have very different ideas about what to do about it. But we have a real-life example of what a small wage increase can mean for a company. In early 2015, Walmart, which is America's largest private employer, raised wages for its worker without any laws forcing them to do so. Well, in response, sales are up and so are measures of customer satisfaction. Is this a lesson that both sides can take from this real-world experiment? Let's talk about it with Tamara Drought, Vice President of Policy and Research at Demos Action, a public policy institute working for equality, and author of Sleeping Giant, How America's New Working Class Will Transform America. Sabrina Schaefer is the Executive Director of the Independent Women's Forum. Welcome to both of you.
Good to be here.
Tamara, do you applaud what Walmart has done?
I do. I think, and they've been joined by other retailers and some fast food companies. I would say, though, that it's not enough. You know, they moved some of their starting workers up to $9 or $10 an hour, but even that small bit has made a huge difference in their customer service and being able to keep their shelves stocked. And I think what Walmart learned is a very old lesson, which is that when we pay workers a decent dignity wage, they have more money in their pockets to spend, one, so that helps our overall economy, but two, they actually are better employees because they want to do right by their employer who's actually doing right by them. Prior
to this change, Sabrina, 16% of Walmart stores were meeting customer service objectives, and the company was not posting the profits that investors had been used to. They still are not necessarily seeing the kind of profit margins that they had hoped to see, but customer service reports are way up. That is, customer satisfaction reports are way up. Is there a lesson here for other companies?
Well, there is, and I think, you know, on one hand, I agree with Tamara, and I think that the fact is that Walmart, in effect, recognizes that its workforce is an investment, and they are investing in that workforce, and they're hoping that by increasing those wages, that those workers will work harder, that they'll feel more connected to the company, and that ultimately that will translate into higher profit margins for the organization as a whole. But I think the lesson to sort of take away from this is that it's very easy to say, well, if Walmart did it, we should mandate it for all businesses, and the real sort of danger here is that this will create an artificial barrier to entry because all businesses can't afford the losses that Walmart may be taking in order to do this. So it's great. It may open up other opportunities for some workers who'll be able to get a better wage benefit package at Walmart. But we shouldn't assume that all businesses can afford this, and we want to make sure that we help those people by creating jobs, not taking them away.
Part of what they are offering employees, Tamara, is more training, the opportunity for more training, and especially more reasonable hours, or at least more scheduled, a more consistent schedule. That's the word I'm looking for. And that seems to have done just about as much as raising the wages for some of these people.
Well, they haven't rolled out the new scheduling practices to all of their stores. It's actually still a pilot program. But if you talk to people in the new working class, people who work in fast food, in retail, and janitorial services, and on, one of the big problems they have is not getting enough hours and having hours that can fluctuate pretty wildly from week to week. So I think that this is just basic fairness for workers who are helping these companies, frankly, make record profits in most years. I do want to address what Sabrina said. You know, it has long been the standard in this country since 1938 that we have a federal minimum wage. And it's there because the role of our democracy is to actually write the rules for capitalism, to really balance the public interest with the for-profit interests. And, you know, the minimum wage is a bedrock principle of ensuring that workers are not exploited in this country.
I would say, yeah, sorry, John.
Well, you know, one of the things about the minimum wage that has never made sense to me, I mean, there are Walmarts just outside Manhattan, New York. There might be some in Manhattan, but the mayor here doesn't want them. But there are Walmarts in New Jersey. There are also Walmarts in Manhattan, Kansas. And, you know, the costs of living in those two cities not the same. So why have a one-size-fits-all minimum wage all the way across the country?
Well, historically, we've had federal minimum wages, and then states, many states right now, we have like 23 states who have higher than the federal minimum wage. The federal is just a basic decency wage. It's a floor upon which employers cannot go below. That is all it is, and that's all it historically has been. But it's $7.25.
But let's keep in mind that there's much more.
Is too low.
Okay,
right,
Sabrina,
but there's much more that we can do to help American workers, because I'm in agreement. We don't want to turn our backs on people in need. I mean, a lot of these people do need to be, more than one job in order to pay the bills. And so what we want to do is to sort of eliminate any kind of burdensome regulation that may get in the way of them moving up the economic ladder. We should also be talking about, lowering the corporate tax rate so that more companies can actually afford to absorb these costs. Which, it seems like, oh, well, the big, behemoth of Walmart, they should just do this. The reality is, as they're noting, their profit margins are not quite as big as we all assume they are. And there's a lot of other companies that are certainly not Walmart that absolutely couldn't afford this. So, if we eliminate some of those regulations, if we eliminate or lower some of our taxes, and if we make sure that Washington isn't micromanaging wages and benefits at businesses are going to want to find employees that will work for them and to be able to freely negotiate those kind of contracts.
This may be proof of that. Sabrina Schaefer, Tamara Drought, thank you both.
Thanks.